there were a lot of tears along the way. There were a lot of challenges along the way. And there was a lot of, I don't want to feel salesy. I don't want to feel pushy. I don't want to feel assertive. And the reason I share that part of the story is to know that that is how our health coaching community that's listening feels. Mm-hmm. Sales feels like you've got this fear of being that slimy salesperson. And I've lived that. I've been there. I've had that feeling repeatedly. And one of the reasons I love coaching sales now is I love coaching people through how to get past that. Because really what I say is selling is serving. Mm-hmm. Selling is your opportunity to help somebody with something that you know that they don't know, or else if they do know it, they haven't been able to help themselves with it. They need some kind of support. And if you're not asking, you're not getting. That's what sales is. It's asking to help someone.
Welcome to another episode of the Health Coach Academy podcast. I'm your host, Omar Cumberbatch of OmarCumberbatch.com. Appreciate you joining as always. And today we're going to continue my obsession with sales. So I know that a lot of my guests recently have been really beating this home, but we got to sell, guys. This is just what it is. We have to be able to sell our products, our coaching services, our courses, our books. That's just the only way that we're going to be making any money in this space that can at least sustain us to do this to the magnitude that we all desire to do that. So today's guest, Nicole Cramer, is all about sales. Me and Nicole hit it off immediately, and she's just bringing so much great energy to this topic, and her story is tremendous. Her approach is wonderful. You're going to love her. And just so you know, she is actually opening up her enrollment for a course that she's doing. So it's called Next Level Sales. And you can find that on our website, healthystepswithnicole.com. Jump on there, take a look. If you need some help with sales, she is the girl to knock this out the park with you and really show you all the steps it takes to really succeed in sales. So as always, please leave a rating and review on iTunes. It goes a long way for me being able to consistently get these excellent guests on the show. So I appreciate you and all that you do and taking the time out to join us and listen along as we learn, especially with the sales business, what needs to be done to get our businesses off the ground. So let's jump into the show. Hey, Nicole, welcome to the show. How are you today?
I'm great, Omar. How are you?
Fantastic. Really excited to get you in front of the audience. We had a wonderful conversation off air, have a lot in common, went to the same school. We have basically a lot of common interests that I think that our message to health coaches is going to really resonate with the audience today. So tell us a little bit about yourself. And I guess I would say start from the beginning, because as I was doing research on you, it's really fascinating that you were basically coming from a math teacher, you switched careers, and then you went into corporate, and now you're killing it in health coaching and coaching in general. Yeah. So tell us a little bit about that trajectory and how you got on the show today.
Sure. And one of the reasons I do like starting from the beginning with my story as well is I want people to know I'm a sales coach, but this was not something I didn't come out of the womb as a salesperson. And I was a teacher for 15 years. And I want people to know that part of my story, because I want them to understand whatever you're doing, wherever you're at, you absolutely can do whatever it is that you want to do. And I know selling feels awkward and uncomfortable for people, but I was not a natural born salesperson. And like I said, my career was something totally different before I went into sales. So it's important for me to share that with people, because a lot of people say, oh, just like I did when I was a teacher, I don't know how to sell. I've never sold anything. Who would I be to do that? So it started as a high school teacher, and I taught math, which is funny because I noticed a theme in my life. I teach things that people don't like. I taught math for 15 years. Nobody really liked math that much. And now I teach sales, and everybody has an aversion to sales. But I loved it, and I love numbers. And one of the things that I loved about what I did as a math teacher is the same thing I do now as a sales coach. I make it approachable. I make it fun, because if you don't want to do it, but it's like needed. I mean, let's be honest. Every health coach listening to this, I have some news for you. You cannot have a business without focusing on sales. It has to be your number one. You're not a business owner if you don't have sales. Mm-hmm. So it has to be a part of what you're doing. And so if you don't like it, or you have an aversion to it, or you're afraid of it, you're not comfortable with it, we want to warm you up to that. We want to make it something that is approachable and fun for you to do, because you can't get around it if you're a business owner. And I did the same thing with math, right? Like you gotta know the math. You got to get through high school by learning the math. So let's at least make it fun. So I did that for 15 years. And I got to a point where, I'm a lifelong athlete. I was a collegiate athlete. So I've got that competitive streak in me. And while I was teaching, it was fun and it was amazing. But I always thought it sounded so much fun to be in sales, because I had friends that were in sales, and the athlete in me, the competitor in me, thought it sounded like a really fun game. Mm-hmm. And I was like, oh my God, if I could compete every day, chase the carrot every day, and win sales contracts, and it would turn into money and prizes, that sounds great. But I was scared to death to do it because I'd never done it. And I had the list of all the reasons why I couldn't. I've been a math teacher for 15 years. I couldn't switch careers now, or I've never sold anything. I had the list of reasons why I couldn't do it. And through a series of events, with the way the universe works, it's a pretty amazing story, but I followed the breadcrumbs and I ended up getting a sales position at a company called Aramark, and I was selling coffee. And my very first day, so I leave teaching, I go in there the very first day, and everybody's like, why would you leave teaching to come here? Like, what do you want to do in a sales role? And I said, I want to be number one in the nation. And Omar, they laughed me out of the room. They were like, oh, that's cute, Pollyanna, because I was just so bright-eyed and bushy-tailed. Like, I want to be number one in the nation. And the reason I had that in my head, I didn't know what that meant. I didn't know how hard it would or could or should be. What I knew is that when I was hanging out with my friends that were in sales, they would always talk about their ranking. They would always talk about, it just sounded fun to me to say, I'm number one. Mm-hmm. And again, it was probably the athlete in me, the competitor in me, but that was my goal. And so on day one, I was like, I want to be number one. And this is a group of sales veterans that like laughs me out of the room, right? They're like, oh, that's cute. And I was like, well, I'm going to figure it out. And they were like, do you know how hard it is? And I was like, no, but where there's a will, there's a way. Now, I don't want to take anything away from, well, let me say this. First of all, I did it. It happened in a year and a half.
Wow.
And I don't want to say, oh, I did it and it happened in a year and a half, because I want people to think it was easy. I did it. And I honestly say that I did it because I was just oblivious enough to not know why it should be hard. Right. Like I was like ignorance on fire. I was just like, I'm going to figure it out. But there were a lot of tears along the way. There were a lot of challenges along the way. And there was a lot of, I don't want to feel salesy. I don't want to feel pushy. I don't want to feel assertive. And the reason I share that part of the story is to know that that is how our health coaching community that's listening feels. Mm-hmm. Sales feels like you've got this fear of being that slimy salesperson. And I've lived that. I've been there. I've had that feeling repeatedly. And one of the reasons I love coaching sales now is I love coaching people through how to get past that. Because really what I say is selling is serving. Mm-hmm. Selling is your opportunity to help somebody with something that you know that they don't know, or else if they do know it, they haven't been able to help themselves with it. They need some kind of support. And if you're not asking, you're not getting. That's what sales is. It's asking to help someone. And the other way I like to describe it is selling is earning the right to make a recommendation. Because what sales is relational. It's all about relationships, right? There's two types of sales. There's relational and transactional. Transactional is something like you need toilet paper. You're going to buy toilet paper, whether you have a relationship with the person selling it or not, right? Like toilet paper from the drugstore is the same as toilet paper from the grocery store. It doesn't really matter. You need to wipe your butt. So you're going to buy toilet paper. But the type of sales that we as health coaches are doing is based on relationships, because here's the bottom line. What you're doing, what you're selling as a health coach is probably the same or similar as every other health coach. You're not selling something that's necessarily unique. What is unique is you, your process, your experience, your gifts, your talents. You are the only person on this planet that is like you. And although you might be, let's say, for example, a weight loss coach, there's a bajillion other weight loss coaches out there. Fine. Who cares? What do you do different? What's different about you and the experience that you take people through? That's what people are actually buying. That's what people are really connecting with. It's not that you sell something that's different. It's that you yourself are different. And really what we're selling is ourselves. And as a matter of fact, on my very first day of that corporate job, that's the advice that I was given. My district manager called me in. He said, hey, I know you're new here. I know you feel like you don't know how to sell. You've never done it. And you're a little afraid. Like, are you going to figure this out? And here's the best piece of advice I could give you. people are going to buy from you because they like you. Mm-hmm. He said, you have the same, I told you, Omar, that I sold coffee. That was what my job was doing. He said, you sell the same coffee as everybody else. You sell the same coffee makers as everybody else. What your competitors are selling is the same as what you are selling. The difference is you. Mm-hmm. The prices that they're selling at are the same as the prices that you're selling. So the playing field is even and level for what we're selling. But the thing that actually makes people want to buy from us is us. What's our special sauce? What makes us stand out? So that was a huge lesson for me right off the bat, because I did learn that most of what my competitors were offering was the exact same thing. So what experience could I sell my customers that was going to make them want to choose me as the best person for them to do business with? And like I said, it took me a year and a half. I figured out how to get to number one. And after I did that, they offered me a promotion. My company was like, here you go. Here's this promotion. And I was like, I don't want it. And they were like, what do you mean you don't want it? That's the natural next step that you would take, right? You climb the corporate ladder, you take this promotion, you've earned it. I said, I don't want to be a one and done. I don't want anybody to look at me as a one-hit wonder. I was number one, but I want to do it a second year in a row. And they said, do you know how hard that is? I said, I'll figure it out. I'm on my way there. Just watch me. And I did it. And then after that second year in a row, I kind of fell flat with like, it's one of those things, and we've all had an experience like this in one way or another, where we set our sights, we set our goals, we achieve it. And then we're like, wait, that didn't feel the way I thought it was going to feel. Like, why aren't the angels singing? Why aren't the fireworks going off? It was like, it didn't give me that internal feeling that I thought it was going to. And I understand why now, because I was looking outside of myself to complete something that I wasn't addressing inside of myself. And what happened is I got really jaded. I fell out of love with what I was doing, with sales in general. But I was still in my job. I mean, I still had to figure out how to do the work. And I realized my ego was so connected to my self-worth being number one in the nation. Like, that was what I was so connected to. And I didn't really want to be number one again. I wasn't sure what I wanted to do. So I had one of those, like come to Jesus moments, the what is this all about for me? What got me out of bed before I was good at this job, before I had the title of being number one? What got me out of bed and made me want to do this? And the answer was two things. I love building relationships with people, and I love helping people solve their problems. And that, to me, is my definition of sales. It's about building relationships with people and helping them solve a problem. And if they have a problem they haven't been able to solve by themselves, who better to help them than me? I give a shit. I care about people. I have integrity. I know how to help them. Who else should they buy from that's better than me? Nobody. And that's where selling started to change dramatically for me. So before that, it really was the competitor in me. It was the achiever in me, right? Like, I'm a high achiever. And so the person that took me to number one certainly was building relationships, certainly cared about people, but it was a different drive. And when things changed for me about what sales really was all about, and I was no longer trying to get to number one, it became even more enjoyable because it was really about the people. It was really about building relationships. And it's funny because although I was not number one that third year, it was one of the years that I am the most proud of, because I still ended up in like the top, I don't know, top 20 or something. I kind of gave up counting or looking at it that way, right? I just wanted to help people and still be successful. And it was one of my favorite years, and the year I'm the most proud of, because I enjoyed it. Because I was connecting in a different way with people. I was learning how to have conversations with people. What I call it was the art of sales. Before that, I had hustled and grinded and pushed my way through the science of sales, right? All the activity, all the things that you need to be doing to achieve what you're achieving. And then all of a sudden it became about, how can I have better conversations with people? How can I build better relationships with people? And some of those relationships and some of those conversations turned into even better business than what I had set up the years that I was, number one. So sales took a new direction, I guess, for me. And what I also learned during that time, because after being super successful in my company, of course, a lot of people are coming to me saying, hey, will you show me how you did it? Will you show me what you know? So it was like the teacher in me reappeared. I all of a sudden was like, I want to help other people do this. And so I started coaching people, that were new to my sales team, and they were going on to be number 3 in the nation, number 6 in the nation, number 1 in the nation. And I was like, this is really fun. I'm having fun coaching other people and teaching other people how to do this. So throughout all of this stuff that I'm sharing about my corporate job, I also went to IIN and got my health coaching certification, because even before I went into my corporate job, I was really passionate about health and wellness. And I had made some lifestyle changes of my own that just completely changed everything for me, changed my quality of life. And I was like, holy guacamole, do other people know they can feel this good? I need to show them. And that's when I found out about what a health coach was. And so I got certified. And so while I'm, it's my third year or second year of being number one in the nation, I get certified as a health coach. I start coaching people in my company how to sell. And what I also started doing without realizing it, all the people that I met, IIN, all of my other fellow health coaches that I had come to know, I was starting to coach them without even unintentionally, we would just be in a conversation. They'd be like, I'm not sure how to do this. And I'd be like, oh, we'll just do this. Or I don't know how to have the money conversation. Oh, we'll just say this. And finally, one of my friends said, you need to do this. And I said, do what? And she goes, you are so passionate about helping all of us learn how to sell. You need to coach health coaches how to sell. And I was like, well, I want to be a health coach. I was like, I don't want to teach people how to, that's what I'm trying to get out of. I want to get out of my corporate job. I want to be a health coach. I want to make people healthier. She said, Nick, you can. You'll be doing it in an even bigger way. Do you know how many health coaches that are out there not doing anything with their certification? If you empower health coaches to feel confident in selling, then it's like the domino effect. You're helping the world in an even bigger way become a healthier place. And I was like, all right, done, sold, I'm in. that's how I started my sales coaching business.
Listen, you filled in a lot of things that I really took a lot of interesting notes and questions as you were discussing what your history is. It's really fascinating. But I want to get back to the root, because there's one thing that I want to make sure that I'm perfectly clear, because I think it's really relevant to the line of questioning that I was going to actually have you go through. Is I still think that you, at least in your own mind, thought that you weren't good at this. Is that still accurate after that description?
That I thought in my own mind that I wasn't good at selling?
Yeah.
And are you asking, did I have that thought and do I still have that thought today?
Yeah, or was it just a limiting belief? I mean, you seem like so. In other words, from that story, it started out that you thought that you weren't actually good at this, something probably that you were super naturally good at and never acknowledged.
Yeah, I think that what I thought is that sales had to be this technical thing that I had to study and be really good at from a formal standpoint. Like there were books that I needed to read and things that I needed to do. And again, I don't want to say I'm not a natural salesperson necessarily. I like people. And the reason I say it like that is because some people are like, well, I'm introverted, so I'm not ever going to be a salesperson. It doesn't matter who you are, or introvert, extrovert, any of your personality types. Do you care about people? Do you want to help people? Right? There's plenty of hardcore introverts that are really amazing at sales. As a matter of fact, one of the people that I learned from at my company, at my job, when I was first training in sales, he was a big time introvert, and he was one of the top dogs in the company. So do I think that I had the ability already? Yeah, I know I had the ability to connect with people, and I know I cared about people. And that's really what we're doing as health coaches. We are in the business of people and helping them with something that they have not been able to figure out how to do for themselves. I also think that there's a skill set that you can learn and develop in how to have better conversations with people, so that, what selling isn't, it's not manipulating somebody into making a decision that they didn't want to make. It's helping somebody make a decision that they already wanted to make, but for whatever reason, fear, resistance of some type, they aren't making it. And, it's not like there's this theory in sales that it takes 10 to 12 touch points before somebody's ready to buy from you. I would argue it's probably more like 100 touch points, because it's a relationship game. So it's all about getting to know people, nurturing people. Now, are some people going to be ready to buy right off the bat because they read a post of yours and it really resonated? Absolutely. You're going to have people who are like, I'm ready. Let's do this right now. But a lot of times it takes you allowing people to know, like, and trust you. And you allow that to happen by serving, providing value, giving opportunities to nurture people so that they want to come closer into your world, learn more about you and what you do. So I guess that's a long-winded way of answering your question. Are there times now that I still feel like I'm not good at sales? No, because I know what it's all about. Are there times where I get rusty because it's just like anything else? You have to be in practice with it. Yeah. I mean, if I a couple of days without having a sales call, I want to make sure I'm prepared when I finally do have one, because it's like, you don't want to be rusty. So it's staying on top of it and getting practice, just like with anything in our life that's important.
Mm-hmm. You also mentioned that, you were selling products that were specific, that everybody else in your team pretty much was selling the same way. And it's important for you to separate yourself from that. So what do you think is the secret to getting a health coach to identify their secret sauce that can actually get them into a position where they do separate themselves and have the ability to get sales as opposed to their competition?
Yeah, it's so interesting, because most of the time what I find is that the thing that somebody thinks is negative part about them is actually their special sauce, is actually one of the coolest and most amazing things about them. So I like to say, there's a quote that I heard once and I just love it. The cave you fear to enter holds the treasure you seek. Mm-hmm. So the answer to that question, everybody already knows what makes them special and unique. They may need some help and support uncovering it. I mean, that's what business coaches are for. That's what sales coaches are for, right? To help somebody kind of really dig into that and figure out what is it that sets me apart from everybody else. But I bet most people already know that intuitively. And more than likely, it's the thing that they've always been told is, or maybe poked fun at for, it's just a personality trait that they've hidden in certain ways. Because of how they've, I guess, heard other people talk about it. So I think the other thing is like getting practice, getting experience, having conversations and hearing feedback from other people starts to help you see how other people perceive you. So sometimes we don't know how other people see us, that is an actual strength of ours. I'll give you an example. I was on a call a couple of years ago with one of my clients, and, I'm a sales coach. I call myself a sales coach. And she said on this session, she said, I know you're a sales coach, but I need you to know you are my number one hype girl that I have ever had. Mm-hmm. And I said, I like that. I'm going to start using that. I'm going to call myself a hype girl. And I hadn't considered that was actually something that my clients were really getting from me, is my passion, my inspiration, the way that I show up, and not, I'm never going to let somebody give up on themselves. Unless they've decided that that's really what they want to do. So hype girl was something that I hadn't even realized was what a lot of my clients really liked about working with me. Mm-hmm. So sometimes it helps just to be in conversation with others and get feedback and find out, what do your clients like about you? Mm-hmm. Why were they drawn to you?
Yeah, that's a good point. And now, like, I know that you're super into the mindset of this, because of obviously the mindset. Without it, you're not going to really go anywhere, honestly, in the sales or your business game. What were the things that, as far as you felt in your history with coaching so many different people, getting over their limiting beliefs in sales, anything that you could talk about, like the top 3 that stand out that you're like, if we can kind of correct these particular mindsets, we'd be in a way better situation, and sales would really come easy at that point?
So you're looking for 3 things that I think stand in the way, mindset wise, from people actually taking action and getting out there and doing what they really want to do?
Yeah, with the sales specifically. Yep. Because I got about 4. so I'm curious if your 3, are relevant to my 4. I got to add to my list of. I'll
be lucky if I can keep it to 3. I feel like I've seen, and I'm sure you too, Omar, I've seen so many where I'm like, oh my gosh, like, it's funny because, and I did the same thing in many ways. There's a lot of things that I did to hold myself back. But when you're seeing it in other people, it's like, oh my gosh, like, stop doing that. That's the thing that's standing in your way. Yeah. So one of the things is most people that I've seen in my world, clients or otherwise, they're waiting for everything to be perfect before they get started.
Gotcha. Yep.
They're waiting for everything to be in place. I've got to get my website set up. I've got to have my Instagram content strategy in place. I've got to have my, packages. I've got to have all the videos filmed for my course before. It's like, it's all procrastination. It really is. It's like saying, my coach shared this with me a couple of years ago. Perfectionism is for poor people. You're holding yourself back if you're trying to get everything perfect. It's like, be the C student, right? Be just enough, because you're holding yourself back from the people who really need you, and you're making it about you. You really are. So I would say that's one of the ones is, definitely people don't start because they feel like they need to be ready to start. They need to have things in place. Mm-hmm. Here's another big one. They want to help everybody.
Yeah.
They're like, I just have a big heart and I want to help everybody. And when you're trying to help everybody, you're going to help nobody. Mm-hmm. That's really the bottom line. If you're not talking to somebody, you're talking to nobody. Mm-hmm. And you can't help everybody. What you have to offer is not meant for everybody. So you need to get really clear on who it is that you really want to help. And I know nobody likes this conversation. I didn't like it either. When I was new, I was like, I just want to help people get healthier. Nobody paid me for that.
Right.
Nobody paid me to be healthier. And so we've got to get really specific and become known for the thing that we help people with. And this kind of goes back to the conversation we had earlier when you asked me, what can people do to determine what their special sauce is, what their secret, what makes them unique, what makes them stand out. And part of that is really, who do you want to help and what's the problem that you're helping them solve? That in and of itself can make you very unique, can make you stand out. Mm-hmm. And so getting really niched down and specific and becoming known for one thing is how you can go and do a bunch of other things. You can sell and do a ton of other things, but become known first for something and create community, create awareness for who you are, create followers for your body of work, and they'll buy other stuff from you. But you got to become known for something first. I heard this story. I think Tony Robbins himself told the story on one of his podcasts, but when he got started, he was, he went to NLP and he quit NLP training or school or whatever. He's like, I've got this. And he went up to Canada and started advertising he could help people stop smoking. That's what he became known for very early on. He was helping people quit smoking from what he had learned through his NLP courses. Now, I would argue he can pretty much help anybody with anything. He's kind of worked his way up there, but that's not how he started. So even somebody like Tony Robbins got known for something very specific before he became who he is. So I would say that's probably one of the other ones. Number two, let me think. I would say the other one is, I guess it kind of goes with the perfectionism one. I was going to say, people are trying to learn everything about everything. They think that they need to have everything in place before they get started. But that might be too closely related to my number one. So let me think of another one.
It's interesting. I thought I would cover a couple of mine and you didn't touch it yet. So I'm curious.
Ooh, okay. And they're different. Okay. I think maybe if I got really specific to sales, and I don't know if this will be one of yours too, one of the reasons that also holds people back is the fear of sales and the fear of having the money conversation. And it's super real and it's super scary and it makes people hide under their covers and say, you know what? I don't care that much about helping people if I have to talk about money.
That's definitely one of my four. That's absolutely one of my four, because I think that's the thing. And I definitely want you to talk about that in a little bit more detail. But I do want to ask about specifically, what about health coaches being tied? And I've heard this actually a lot lately. And I guess my audience is going to get sick of this point because it's actually coming up quite often. That, you were selling your coffee stuff and you have your coffee, right? You can say, here's the coffee machine. Thank you. Get your money, right? We're tied, or we think we're tied to a result that we can't necessarily promise. And I think health coaches have a particular problem. So for instance, a weight loss coach, they're selling that I can help you lose weight. And there's something in the back of their mind that says, what if they don't lose any weight? Is it my fault? Have you heard that one before?
Over and over. Let's call that my 3.5 or my 4th. Yes. Yes. It's, I'll share this real quick. When I was a teacher, I learned this the hard way because I was a math teacher and I would teach the same, like all 30 kids would be in the class with me. They all got the same lesson, the same notes, the same examples, the same everything. And yet some of them would get A's, some B's, some C's, some D's, some F's. And it used to just kill me. It's like, why? What is going wrong? I gave the same information to everybody. Mm-hmm. Well, a lot of things. I can't control the environment. I can control myself and what I can control. But here's what I learned. Kids have a right to fail. Mm-hmm. Or let me rephrase that. People have a right to fail. People have a right to not get the result, even if they told you that they want those results. Mm-hmm. You're not responsible for them because you can't, like, let's say you're a weight loss coach and you've got somebody that you're working with and they're doing quote unquote, all the things, right? They're filling out the food journal that you want them to fill out. They're checking in with you every day. They're showing you what they ate. They're doing their exercises. They're doing all the things. And then at night at 3 a.m, they're sneaking into the kitchen and they're like binging on a bunch of crap, but they're not telling you that part.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And this is maybe a little bit of an extreme example, but like at the end of your time with them, you're going to be like, what the heck? What's going on? And you're going to blame yourself. What you don't know is what's going on in anybody's life at any given moment. And it may not even be self-sabotage, like binging at 3 a.m in the kitchen. Maybe they're going through a really crappy part of their relationship with a friend and it's just challenging them in ways and they're not necessarily sharing that, or they don't even realize how it's impacting them. There are so many things in people's lives that can be impacting their results, and the results aren't ours to own. And that's tough for us as health coaches because we're making this claim, right? We're like, I can help you lose weight. Well, you can. You absolutely can. In the same way that I can help somebody sell, in the same way that I can teach somebody geometry. But if they aren't doing their part and being honest about their part, there's only so much I can do. Mm-hmm. So what we have to know is show up and do your part and deliver the best that you can. And then you have to become unattached to whether or not that person gets results. Because the other thing, in a very kind and understanding way, our desire, or I guess our interest in them getting results, is sometimes actually the problem. Somebody might be really, really happy with the results that they've gotten with you. You might have wanted them to get more, but you're making that about you. Mm-hmm. What if they're like, I'm really proud of what I've done. I'm really proud of how far I've come. And you're sitting there in your mind making them wrong because they haven't done, lost the 15 pounds that you wanted them to lose, but they lost 3, or maybe they didn't lose any, but they feel better about their routine and their habits that they've built with you. Yeah. We have to let people get the results that they are coming to us to get and be unattached from anything else.
Those are great examples, great points. And I think that, again, that was something that's been coming out thematically a lot recently. And there's just a lot to it. It's just like, what you can do, what you're capable of. Just like you said, you're a sales coach. And if we follow you to a T, there's no doubt that we will have an increase in sales. But again, you don't know what the hell we're doing behind the scenes. Or even if so that's the other thing about weight loss coaching too, which I know, so I'm sure there's a whole bunch of weight loss practitioners who are listening to the podcast. Like sometimes people sign up for that stuff and they're not really interested in it anyway. They just think it's something they're supposed to do and they have no interest whatsoever.
Yep. It sounded good to them. They were like, oh, maybe this is the time. And then they just don't show up. I mean, I've had clients like that where they just didn't show up and do the work. And that's their choice. Like free will is a beautiful thing. Mm-hmm. It's a beautiful thing. And at the end of the day, I love my free will. And if I love it in myself, then I have to love it and respect it in other people. And sometimes that means I don't necessarily agree with how they're going to do things, or it doesn't, but that's not up to me to decide. If they want to sign up for a program and then not participate fully, they're allowed to.
Yep, absolutely.
Doesn't mean it feels good. I mean, it's still frustrating or challenging to us because we want to help people, but if they don't want to help themselves, there's nothing we can do.
Yep, just don't leave a review. That's all I want.
Yeah. If you didn't do your part, don't blame it on me, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. Yep.
So let's talk about the asking and the money conversation, because again, that's something that a lot of coaches are cringing as they even think about this particular thing. Tell us a little bit about how to navigate that scenario. And I guess if you want to throw some icing on the cake, if you could just talk about like how we could be a little bit more confident, not only in asking, but asking for what our value is, which means that we're asking for pretty high prices that we absolutely deserve.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, it's priceless what we're selling. We're not selling 12 sessions on Zoom. We're selling a better quality of life. We're selling a better experience of the one and only life that they have to live. And right now, let's be honest, they are in a conversation and interested in us because they don't have the quality of life that they want, right? There's something missing. There's some piece that they have not been able to figure out. And, a lot of times, and this is so prevalent in the health coaching world, when people are in chronic pain, they've normalized it. They're so familiar with it that they're like, I'm just going to stay here because I know, even though I don't want to be here, even though, it's uncomfortable to go out to dinner and have to unbutton my pants or go out to dinner and have to wear stretchy pants because I get so bloated because I haven't figured out how to control my gut health. Right. Mm-hmm. I know that pain, so I'm going to stay there. And so, yeah, a lot of times it's like the value of what we're selling, we have to be really clear. And here's what's really important between price and value. They're two different things. Mm. And if we aren't selling the value, that's really what we need to focus on. What's the value to somebody? What's the end result? What's the end game? And I like to say, sell the destination, not the journey. Mm-hmm. For example, if you're selling a trip to Paris, don't sell the plane ride. Yeah. Nobody cares about the plane ride. What do they care about? Oh, they want to see the Mona Lisa at the Louvre. They want to go climb the Eiffel Tower. They want to go shopping at Chanel. They want to eat croissants at one of the little, tiny cafes on the little brick road that they found themselves on after shopping at Chanel. Like the experience of Paris is what they want. Mm-hmm. So sell them how they're going to feel in Paris. Don't talk about the planes, trains, and automobiles that are going to get them there. Mm-hmm. And so when we're selling something, sell the value, which is people want to buy a better version of themselves. Mm-hmm. That's what they want. They want to buy a better version of themselves. So sell them the vision of who they are going to become, because that's the end result. That's what they really want. Do they want the 12 sessions on Zoom? No, they don't. Do they want the lunges and the squats? No, they don't. Do they want to change their eating habits? Absolutely not. But they do want that version of themselves that they believe is possible because they've seen it in you. Mm-hmm. So that's where we want to focus, is keep people on what's the value. And if you're not sure, ask people, why do you want to make this decision? Yeah. What's going to happen if you don't make this decision? Have a conversation with them and listen. You'll hear exactly why they want to make the decision. And then keep them on that tip. Keep them on that note of what they've shared with you that they want to go. And, the price discussion is really, it's a, how do I want to say it? It's the second layer of like, once you've sold them on the value, the price is just the natural, okay, well, here's what it is. Here's what it is to get what you want, and I like to say it's awkward until it's elegant. So it's not going to be an easy conversation the first couple times that you have it. And you're probably going to do what I did. You're probably going to give your shit away for free. Because even though I had been number one in the nation, I was really good at selling when and I'm sure a lot of your audience will resonate with this. When it's our stuff, when it's our intellectual property, essentially, it's our IP that we're putting out into the world, it can feel a lot more vulnerable and it can feel really scary, especially the first couple times that you're doing it and you're having those conversations. And so I remember one of my first ones, the woman was really interested in what I had. She was like, I know, we were in Costa Rica at a yoga retreat. And she said, I know I want to work with you. Mm-hmm. Everything you shared with me about what you do sounds like exactly what I need. So how much is it and when can we get started? And I was like, oh, well, yeah. Like, why don't we just, how about we just start off for free and you can see if you like it and then we can go from there. Yep. And you know what? It made it awkward for her, not necessarily, sure, in that moment, but also she wanted to pay me.
Yeah. Yeah.
So when we started, here's what she did. We met every week at this really fun, I lived in LA at the time, at this really fun yoga studio. And she treated me to yoga and to lunch before our session. So we would go to yoga, eat lunch, and then we would have our session because she was trying to find a way to compensate me because people want to pay you. Here's the thing. If they don't, then they don't have any skin in the game. Mm-hmm. There needs to be an energetic exchange. So if you really care about those results, like what you and I were talking about a few minutes ago, if you really want people to get those results, then find a way to get comfortable with the money conversation. Because when you charge people and they have skin in the game, you better believe they show up.
Yeah.
I bet everybody just like me has also given something away for free and then got really disappointed because the person didn't show up for it. And then we all got all bent out of shape. Like, well, this was so valuable and they're not even showing up. They're not even taking it seriously.
Yeah.
Why shouldn't they? You acted like it wasn't valuable when you gave it away to them for free. You were the one who undersold the value by saying, here, just do it for free. And listen, I'm not saying that there's not a time and a place to do things for, pro bono work. But ultimately, when we're starting out, that's a lot of people's default is like, I'll just give it to you for free. And it's because they're afraid to have the money conversation.
No, absolutely. And I'm glad that you put about the energetic exchange and you basically you're kind of getting what you're paying for. And a lot of people, and I always try to put the example, I mean, you're from California, you know about the Planet Fitnesses and the Equinoxes, right? So the Planet Fitness is $5 a month. The Equinox, God knows how much it costs. Now it's been so long since I've even tried to go into an Equinox, but it's probably the upwards of close to 100, if not more. The attendance in Equinox is way better than Planet Fitness. That's just the way it is.
Yeah, well, you're 100% right. And why would anybody pay? We all do it. Like I was just in my group coaching program the other day. I was teaching them a lesson about value and price. And I held up this set of shampoo and conditioner that I had just recently bought. And I don't remember the exact price, but it was around $60. Now, come on, Omar, you and I could both go down to the drugstore right now and find shampoo and conditioner for less than $60. So why would I or anyone pay more for something that they could find at a much lower price? The value. What was the promise of this shampoo and conditioner? Not only that, but how is it packaged, right? It came in this fancy box. It had all these little, brochures with it. And it was funny because one of the brochures was literally like, here's how you use this shampoo. And it was like a front and back of a brochure for how to use the shampoo. You know what it said? If I were to sum it up, Omar?
Oh, wash your hair.
Use 3 pumps, get it foamy, put it in your hair, focus on the scalp, and then let it go towards the end and then rinse it out. Like, that was it. But it was on this fancy brochure and it was in this fancy packaging. So why would somebody pay more? Because people always pay more. Why does somebody buy a Mercedes instead of going and buying a Honda? There's not anything wrong with either car. Function wise, they both do the exact same thing. They get you from point A to point B. So why does somebody want to pay a lot more for something that's going to do the exact same thing for a lot less? Because they saw value in it. There was something about it that they wanted, and we all do it. We all pay more for things all the time. And so we've got to get clear in what we're selling as business owners. There are some people who are not going to be right for what you're selling. You can't let their lack of interest mean anything about you and your program. Right? Like it can't be like, I always use this example. I'm not a NASCAR fan. And, to anybody who is, no offense, it's not my jam. It's not my thing. If somebody were to come up to me and give me free NASCAR tickets, I wouldn't go. But those NASCAR tickets might easily be, I don't know what they go for. They might be a couple $1,000s depending on where they are and what race it is.
Right.
And I wouldn't go. I mean, literally, unless like John Mayer was sitting next to me and I knew that was going to happen, I doubt that I'd go to the NASCAR race. And value is different to everybody. And so we can't judge our services and what we do based on somebody's lack of interest in it. The value isn't there for them. And that's okay. They're not your ideal client.
Yeah, no, that's a big point too. Absolutely. Yeah. So listen, Nicole, you have inspired me for sure. And I can't let you go without at least touching a little bit about what we talked off air, because not only have you shown, and again, provided inspirational pointers and tips about just the sales business as well, but your lifestyle is something to be admired as well. I just want you to just touch before you get out of here, just to touch a little bit about that, to just say to the health coaches about the opportunities when we get this right. What does that life look like? And again, that's who wouldn't want it? So throw it out there and share, please. Thanks.
Well, I will say this, regardless of what I'm about to share with you, what my life looks like, what it really is about is freedom. And so my freedom might look different than your freedom, but essentially that's what a lot of us as entrepreneurs are really going for, right? We want to live a life of service. We want to give back. We have experiences and talents and gifts that have led us to this. I always like to say, don't let your pain go to waste, right? You've gone through some painful experiences that have taught you what you know now that can help you turn around and help other people. So don't let your pain go to waste. But essentially, you want to live a life of service. You want to help others, and you want your freedom. That's what all entrepreneurs are really doing. And you don't want to work for somebody. You don't want to live in a certain place. You don't want to be location independent, whatever it is for you. It's about freedom. So for me, I'd always I told you I was a math teacher, and then I worked for a corporation. I was always location dependent. And what I realized after starting my business, and I started it while I was still in my full-time job. And in 2020, I left my full-time job and did this full-time with a goal of like being able to be anywhere I wanted to be in the world and do my work. So after about a year and a half, it was last year around this time, I was like, gosh, I've got this business going. It's, it's pretty consistent right now. I don't need to be here. Where else do I want to be? Where else could I go? And I decided to sell everything that I owned and give up the place where I was living and take off for a year. And I knew I had a bunch of trips coming up anyways. And my waypoint, the place that I wanted to explore and discover, was Nashville. So I left Southern California last August and took off. And I've been nomadic for the last year. It's been incredible. I've been all over the country. I've driven everywhere. I've flown everywhere. I went to Europe. I went to Mexico. And stopped a couple different times in between in Nashville so that I could stay in some Airbnbs and see what I thought of the different areas. And about 3 weeks ago, landed full-time in Nashville. And now, full-time, I don't know what that really means. Who knows? Who knows how long I'll be here, but I'm here for the foreseeable future and really enjoying it. And no matter where I've been this entire year of traveling, I have worked. And that has been, I think, the most incredible thing for me is when I was in Italy, I was working. When I was in Mexico, I was working. When I was in Florida, I was working. And when I was driving across the country, I was working. So that freedom feels really good. And like I said, my freedom might not look like yours. Maybe you want to be able to, buy a second home for your family so you guys have a vacation home to go to. And maybe that's what you're going to use your business to do. Whatever it is, it's what I want people to know is going to Italy might not be your freedom, but I want you to see my trip to Italy as the permission slip for you and the fact that it's possible for you. Yeah. Anything really is possible. And stepping into, I like to say as entrepreneurs, what we're really doing, it's like a giant self-development seminar. When you become an entrepreneur, like you're nonstop just learning stuff about you and learning your vulnerabilities and insecurities. And what you'll also learn is who you really are, what you really want to do, and the fact that it's possible for you. And that's what I want people to know.
Love it, love it, love it, love it. So I again, really admire what you've been able to do. Again, this program has been established just for health coaches to just figure out next steps, and to see where you've gone is amazing. So I just want to give you a lot of credit for that. So please tell us how we can keep up with your journey, including your website, your social media handles, everything that we can keep up with the new and wonderful things that you're doing, even your nomadic life. I'm sure a lot of people are piqued as far as interest wise goes, that they would love to kind of keep tabs on that as well.
Yeah, for sure. Follow me. Let me know where you live in the world. And maybe when I'm there, we can meet up. So I am on Instagram at the Nicole Cramer. And on Facebook, I have a group for women health and wellness entrepreneurs. It's called Nicole Sales Superstars. And I do free sales trainings in there every week. And those trainings are on sales and money mindset, which is a big thing, as we've just discussed. My website is healthystepswithnicole.com. And I also have some new work that I'm putting out into the world that's a complement to the sales coaching that I do. And it's called, I'm an Exactly What to Say certified guide. So one of the things that I specialize in as a sales coach is how to start conversations that lead to clients. As I said earlier in the episode, sales is all relational. It's about building relationships. Well, what starts a relationship? A conversation. Mm-hmm. What starts a conversation? A question. So I teach people how to use phrases and questions to start conversations that lead to relationships, that lead to opportunities, that lead to clients. And it's really exciting. And I would love for people to get to my Instagram and check out what I have going on and see if it's something that they want to be a part of.
That sounds great. Fantastic. Oh, Nicole, before you go, you have to tell us about your podcast. I'm sorry, I didn't even bring it up.
No, that's okay. I'm so excited to share it with everybody. It's called the Healthy Steps with Nicole podcast. And if you guys love Omar's, I'm sure you'll love mine because it's specific for health coaches and it's got all kinds of sales and money mindset stuff in there. I also have amazing guests that are in other areas of business. So it's super supportive in the area of sales, but it's also really great for other areas of business that I'm not an expert in, where I've brought experts in to share. So would love for all of you to check it out. Healthy Steps with Nicole.
That's fantastic. And that's a good point, because that's even what I had to do with this particular show. There's so many things that health coaches may not be aware of that are in other industries that are transferable to ours that can just take us to another level. So I'm glad that you do the same on your show.
Yeah, I want it to be a full service show where they can get everything that they need. So yeah, so I'd love for you guys to check it out.
Excellent. All right. Again, thank you for your time. I appreciate all that you're doing out there for the health coaches and the health coach community.
Thank you. It was such a pleasure to be here.
It's a pleasure to have you. Have a great rest of the day.
Thank you. You too, Omar.
Hope you enjoyed listening to today's episode of the Health Coach Academy podcast. If you did, jump over to iTunes and leave a rating and or review. It goes a long way in helping get this message out to our fellow health coaches and people in our industry. Also, if you can, jump over to my website, omarcumberbatch.com, where I give out a lot of freebies, including my 5-day sugar challenge for people who are having issues with sugar. And also for health coaches, I have the book, Hidden. It's the 6 not so obvious ways to get your clients unstuck. Have a great day.